welcome to Gavra Racing's GT3 series here at Algarve. I am Cypher77.
I'm Dutch Muso.
And we're here to bring you live GT3 racing coverage here once again.
That is indeed true.
So as you can see, we're here in Portugal. Quite an interesting track we have here. It's definitely, it's not Spain. I mean, it's certainly not another Spanish track I'm thinking of. It's Portugal. But alas, it'll still be quite a interesting race for all these guys. After last week, after the win by Dalavan, he has taken the lead of the point standings, so it'll be interesting to see if he can make a repeat performance here as well.
Yeah, last week he ran away with the race, so he'll be hoping to maintain the momentum, see if he can't do that here again. But I think there are two Audis who will be trying to make sure that they will be the ones doing that today.
That's right, Kev and Kaz are still trying to make a rebound for this championship, as it looks to be quite truly in Dalavan's corner. But anything can happen in these races, and usually always do. So while that is happening, I will look through the point standings, and it is indeed Dalavan who sits in the lead with 135 points, and Kaz in the Audi sits behind him in 107 points, and then Mike in the Mercedes sits on 103 points. So he does have a 28-point gap, Dalavan does.
Yeah, he's been doing pretty good, but if you look at the team standings, it's actually very close. The Audis of Kev and Kaz are in the lead with 188, and then it's the Mercs of Honda and Mike just behind them in 179. So if the Mercs can keep up their good performance, they could actually overtake the Audis, and the Audis will have lost their lead in both the Drivers and Constructors Championship.
It is true. Also, Johnny, who finished second last race, he's also on a hot streak of races. After all, he did win 2 weeks ago at the Glen, and with his second place last week at Imola, him and the Mercedes team are looking in quite high prospects for this race as well.
I mean, I personally think this could be a track that could actually suit Johnny, as we see him actually at the top of practice now. Because it's a very mixed track. You have this long straight here at the front, but then you have a lot of tight corners, and then that very fast last corner. So I think this could suit the McLaren, which we've sort of seen as a bit of an all-rounder car.
So we do have a few replacements this race. If we can go down to 10th, if I'm correct, that is Evil Dragon, who I think is replacing Bally this race, who couldn't make this race. And is it Marcos? Oh, Vectro again is replacing in the Porsche.
It's moving about too much.
Yes, it is Marcos, who will be replacing Yuvi in the second Cadillac. So quite a few driver shifts happening this week. So we'll have to keep an eye out on those replacements.
Yeah, Vector did pretty well last race, but due to penalties did fall back a bit. But he did get some very good points for Porsche. And then we'll just have to see what Mark and Evil can do.
Of course, we also still can't take our eyes off of Kev. After all, he was the first race winner on the season, but lately has been kind of falling back into favor of his teammate, actually. It definitely seemed like at the beginning of the season Kev was going to be the Audi leading the championship hunt, but he's starting to get a little bit of a resurgence lately after his last two races.
I'm just looking at the points now, and from having quite some not great positions to scoring some very solid points there, it does seem like he could be making a bit of a comeback this season. So he'll be one to watch at the end of the season. But I think for now, on a race basis, Cass, Dalavan, Johnny are the ones to watch.
Another racer to keep watch who is also on that. Still wondering when he's going to have that breakout race. He surprisingly still has 0 podiums to his name this season. It's actually his teammate Mike who's in the hot seat for the McLaren team, which, if you asked me at the beginning of the season, we wouldn't have predicted that.
No, I wouldn't have thought that, would be the Mercs fighting especially the McLarens. The McLarens didn't seem to be much there in pace, but Johnny seems to have pulled it up quite a bit, and Mike's been doing incredibly well the last couple of races. We'll have to see what he can pull out this race.
Of course, another one to watch after 2 DNSs and the DNF 3 weeks ago. Flip, who is in fact back in competition in that other Janetta, is looking to make a resurgence of his own. Him and his Janetta teammate of Razy. But you just gotta wonder when some of these midfield guys are going to break out, because we do have a lot of potential breakout winners here today. In fact, who do you think is going to be our likely new breakout winner?
That is going to be a hard one to say though, because there's a lot of people who could do very well. Breakout winner? I mean, Hondex has been quite near the top the entire time, but he just doesn't seem to have much of the pace to actually be able to take him to the win. We haven't really seen that much from him. He's been up there quite a while. Flip has got a podium. We've seen him be real quick sometimes, but he just hasn't been able to actually connect to the lobbies the last 2 races. Someone else who hasn't really gotten a win. Yeah, I think, he's got the pace for the podium, but I think it'll take a little bit of luck here and there for him to be able to get a win. But
right.
There's lots of scenarios in which a lot of these drivers could win.
Right, well, thank you to everyone who is joining us here in the chat. We hope that you are safe and sound whatever part of the world you're in, and we once again thank you for joining us here to see live racing action here at Algarve. The ending of practice, and currently it is Johnny with the fastest time, 1:43.5, just 0.2 faster than Flip. So that might be a sign of things to come. Actually, the entire top 5 only separated by less than 0.7. But it does seem that Johnny once again sits at the top of the practice standings. And at the death of it, Dalavan actually goes up into 2nd place. But still 0.2 back. So we do have the potential to see a very close match here between a lot of these drivers. It really could go anyone's way. Of course.
Oh, nice camera angle though.
Of course, one thing these drivers will have to be careful about is tire pressures and tire heating overall. This track is kind of notorious for heating up rear tires.
But you see Evil drifting it through that corner there a little bit.
He just keeps it under wraps though, but he's coming into the pits. But yes, we normally don't see tire pit stops from these guys, but this is quite an abrasive track. Do you still think it's a safe bet to not take tires on a track like this?
I mean, it'll be a bit touch and go with gaps, but if you're properly racing someone, I think it might give you just that small edge. You lose a bit of time in the beginning, but you could play it safe, and that does mean that you can go softs to softs probably, but...
Of course. But now practice is over, and it is Johnny over Dalavan and Flip, your top 3. And well, I'm not really sure how qualifying is going to be. The times are quite long here at Algarve, so we'll have to get in their times as quickly as possible. Of course, there have been times where drivers just simply have not been able to get times in. But hopefully, one will do their best to get their times in as quickly as possible. Well, who do you think's looking like a hot prospect for qualifying then? Obviously, the easy money would be on Johnny, but you think anyone can actually displace his performance in quali today?
I mean, we had quite a couple of people at the top 5 there in practice, but, you know, practice isn't really that representative. But, I mean, you know, top speed's a big player, so I think one of the Audis could do quite well here if they, you know, have a real good lap. Dalavan's been pretty good at qualifying in the past, so we'll see what he can do.
Of course. Let's see where everyone is. Actually, I have a few takers on track right now. Only several people who have decided to wait until a little bit later to spend their times. I think, yes, it's Vectro who sort of leads the group in qualifying. Of course, he was pretty much one of the dominant cars last week at Imola before his pit escapades. So we'll see if he can put together a more complete performance here.
You know, I've seen Vector in other races, and he's pretty quick. So he could be someone to watch if he can get a good qualifying position and get a good start.
Yes, of course, any resurgence for this Porsche team is obviously a good omen for things to come, and well, we'll see just how much more good work he can do as he goes across start-finish line. We'll go on board to see a lap of the Algarve circuit. You see it's the sort of downhill run into turn 1 up to make sure to keep the car under braking, not to run wide, otherwise you will get a track limit penalty. And the short shoot in turn 2, and then heavy braking into turn 3. Actually goes down to first gear, and he had this short run up through turn 4. He's got the McLaren in front of him, thankfully gets out of the way. But this is just one of the many long straights on this track where some of these guys will be able to showcase their top speed. Heavy braking down all the way down to first gear again, so Vectro definitely favoring the lower gears around some of these turns. We'll see sort of a mix between first and second gears around this track today. And you have another short shoot as he has to brake all the way down to second gear to get that run off in the corner. Make sure not to run wide. There's sand there actually on the end, so we could see a couple of drivers run wide there. Then you have this blind right. It's a very difficult braking zone because you just have to predict how much you have to brake. Which slows down quite good there. Down to the third sector, I have another sort of blind left. Brakes quite late. Just barely manages to get the car slowed down without going over the limits. And then you have to set yourself up for the double right-hander in the last 2 corners. It was very easy to run wide and also easy to have a little bit of traction slip on those curbs. If you can pull it all together, then you can have yourself a good lap of Algarve. The line is actually further down the grid, so it is a 1:43.6 from Vectro, actually one of the faster times in the session. Lip 6 tenths behind, it gets overtaken by Hondax, who's 4 tenths behind, and Joe about 2 seconds behind as well. Daza and Razy across the line. Razy goes and sets a really fast time, 1:43.8. Himself in the second.
Just trying to see where everyone is. We have Toby coming around last corner, almost.
But as you can see, just like that, we're already pretty much halfway through qualifying.
As
really,
Kev actually has to rejoin, so that could stir some things up for him if he can't get a good run in.
Toby in the other Nissan across the line, sets himself up in 9th, just behind Daza. Actually, a little off the pace, so he'll run again. I believe Johnny and Jukebox also can cross the line right now. Jukebox runs 9th. Evil Dragon, he goes across to set 3rd. Really fast run from Nissan there. Bear in the 2nd McLaren, as well as his teammate Johnny, 2 people who haven't set times yet.
This is a little further behind them. Might have had an invalidated lap.
True, also Kev and Mike still yet to set laps, so we'll have to wait and see on them. They've got roughly 5 minutes to do it. But as it currently stands, it is Vectro who takes... Oh, as I'll say that, Flip goes and sets an even faster... And then Hondax sets an even faster time. So Hondax on the Mercedes, setting a faster time. Joe sets a faster time to move himself up into 8th. Hubert only going 13th. Qualifying times are starting to fluctuate. Pretty much the top 4 separated by less than a second. But in an instant, Vectro moved all the way down to 3rd place. And Kaz moves himself up into 2nd place. So 143.4 from the Audi. Of course, Johnny is the man to look out for. He's usually a qualifying master. He's got the tow from the other Nissan in front of him. So what's this time going to be? Only 14th.
Only 2 people left to make quality runs. That is Kevin and Mike.
The Dalavan goes a little bit faster, knocks Razy down the grid. Evil's been knocked all the way down to 7th on the grid. It's pretty much the last chance you get to go out to start a lap, because it takes a bit to get all the way around the circuit. And as well finding a decent space. Stands, it's Hondax, Kaz, Flip, Vectro, Dalavan, your top 5.
What over Twitch and Kev?
Right, and Flip goes faster. The first to set a time in the 142. It's the 142.9 in that Janetta.
Another Twitch and Kev.
I think he might be just starting his lap. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, he is just starting his lap. Still no improvement from Hubert. Actually, a little bit of improvement from Hubert. He goes 9th. So Johnny, the sole McLaren, outside the top 10.
Pretty much if you're not out now, then you are not making another lap.
No improvement from the Porsche either. And we suspect Hondax, Joe, and Marcos have called it quits for qualifying so far. Flip calling it quits in qualifying as Johnny goes only 7th. So is his good qualifying streak going to end today? We'll have to wait and see. He does get in front of his teammate, knocks him down to 10th.
Flip's called it quits as well.
A little bit of an improvement, I think, from Kaz, although he's still... Oh no, I mean Vectro. Let's see if he can go a little bit faster. Ooh, very close on the line. Let's see if he comes across the line. Is the time going to stand? No. We'll go around one more time, though. Very aggressive on the curb there, actually.
There you can actually afford it quite easily. As curve there seems a lot bigger than it is, I think, at least from my experiences with it.
Jukebox has called it quits. His time sits at 13th. Razy across the line with no improvement there, so he called it quits. I think that was Kev. Kev, no improvement. He's currently all the way down in 15th. Now this is Johnny as well as Evil, I believe. Toby up there on time. Once again, Johnny's got a little bit of tow. Toby trying to sit 15th. Is he going to improve? No. Is Johnny going to improve? He moves up to second.
That is incredibly close to Flip-Flip's time.
But not close enough to get pole from him, though. Daza still on time. Currently Kev, though, sitting very far away from the rest of the competition. As Hondax and Kaz decide to call it quits. Time sits at 3rd and 4th. Vectro is in to call it quits, so no improvement from him. So all that's left there is Evil, Mike, Daza, and Kev. Daza.
I'm actually hoping Evil pulls out a monster lap so I can make a really good pun.
Can Daza get that Porsche inside the top 10? It is no improvement there from Daza. Kev still on his lap across the line. Can he improve from 16th? He goes to pole.
That is actually, yeah, that is, that's a pretty good lap. Very close to Flip-Flip.
Right when he needed it most, Kev puts in a 142.9. I mean, you can't cut it any closer than that. Evil across the line, and I don't think there was any improvement.
No.
And there you have it. Kev in the Audi, Flip in the Ginetta, and Johnny in the McLaren line, your top 3. So Johnny's qualifying dominance has been usurped by Kev and Flip, followed by Hondax, Kaz, Vectro, Dalavan, Razy, Evil Dragon, Mike, your top 10. Then Joe, Robert, Marcos, Daza, Jukebox, and Toby round out 10th through 16th. But still, anything can happen, really.
I think this is the closest qualifying we've ever had. The top 4 within a 10th of each other. And then the top 8 within a second.
And all of them a bunch of different manufacturers, too.
Yeah. The only consistent one is actually the Ginettas, if you look at the top 8.
And the Audis.
Oh yeah, and the Audis.
So still a little bit of work for the Nissan and the Bentleys to get up into the top 10. But other than that, you still have quite a diverse grid that could potentially take wins and the podium today.
I mean, you know, Hondax is starting, you know, pretty far forward, so if he can turn this into a podium or win, it will be his first of the season, so...
As per regulations, each driver must stand on roughly 70 liters of fuel as close as the car will allow it, and with that will go through the grid. Kev Sanel, his last win came at Dubai. Can he get a second win on the season today? Flip, who's had the last 3 races snuffed away from him, can he break out in performance here and bring that Ginetta to its first glory? Johnny, he's also been in the hunt as of late. Can he make it 3 podiums in a row? Hondax still looking for his first podium of the season. Can he get it done from 4th on the grid? Kaz looking to be the dominant Audi, trying to make a resurgence after his weekend slumps. Can he do it from 5th? Vectro once again trying to put in the perfect performance like he tried at Imola. Dalavan, your last week race winner. Can he do it again from 7th on the grid? Razy starting in the midfield, but that doesn't mean you should count him out just yet. He could make a performance, he could rise in performance here today, sorry. Evil subbing in today. Let's see what he can do from 9th. Mike also pretty far back compared to his teammate, but that hasn't stopped him before. Joe in the Bentley looking for another solid top 10 spot. Robert starting in 12th, pretty far from his teammate, but he's not out of the question just yet. Marcos also another sub-in driver looking to do well from 13th. Daza looking to finish another race on the trot in 14th. Jukebox starting in 15th, pretty far back as well. And Toby will round off the last row of the grid for a full grid of 16 cars here at Algarve.
right on time.
There you have it. We go to 4 red lights for round 7 of the GT3 series, and it's the quick green lights, and we are off. It is currently Kev who gets away off the line pretty quickly from Flip, and there's contact slightly between Hondax and Johnny. I think even the Porsche Vectro having some contact there, as well as the Audi of Kaz. Kaz, I think, got kind of pushed a little bit wide, although gets back on the track. After that, it's still a clean run for the first 4 corners. No other sort of contact, actually slight contact there between, I think, Evil and Hubert. Hubert actually gets a really good start, him and Evil up into 8th and 9th. Further up front it is Kev currently sitting in the lead from Flip. So Johnny sort of settles behind in 3rd. But so far, very clean start from everyone to the 1st and 2nd sectors. Actually, Razy fell very far away. He's all the way down in the last place. I think he might have gotten shoved out too at some point. Either that or he had a really terrible start. So he's all the way behind the Bentley, a jukebox now. Marcos also making a good start. He's up into 11th, up on the back of Mike. Just in front of him, that's actually Mike and Hubert together. Mike very close to the back of Hubert.
I think now we'll really see what teams are dominant in the street.
But as it stands, it is still Kev, Sanel, Flip, and Johnny the top 3. So not too much has changed at the front. Retro, I think, might have had a little bit of contact with somebody, but I don't think it's enough to hamper his car. I think he might have made contact with the back of Johnny or Hondax. And Kaz sitting 6th behind this group as well, so a lot of drivers still more or less haven't kind of moved too much from the original starting positions.
I mean, the first 3 have just 4. That's actually say that.
Well, Hondax actually lets Vectro go side by side though, so it's not going to push the envelope too much. In terms of overtaking, this track is quite fast, so there should be quite an abundance. Ooh, as Vectro slides, trying to get the car slowed down. Not going to let that be. Toby, I think, has spun out. He's all the way back down to 16th, so Toby in the sort of same spot that Vectro was having his slide has spun his Nissan around. And that's on the back of Vectro. Is that Mercedes going to have the speed versus the Porsche? Getting pushed all the way down to the inside wall. Vectro is going to go to the outside, Hondax going to the inside, Vectro crossed him over. Oh!
What's that, contact? Check the replay.
I'm not sure.
No, that wasn't contact, he just lost it.
Still though, it's quite a strange way to lose the car, but Vectro is all over the place. His car at least seems
Vectro actually, well, Hondax spun out before Vectro. Or after Vectro Castings.
Hondax all the way down to 13th now, so he's got to get a move back on. This has allowed Kaz to overtake him and Vectro, so Kaz now in 4th place. And that's Evil on the back of Vectro now. So good run for him in the Nissan so far. And you can kind of see the Vectro is definitely wheeling that Porsche quite aggressively.
Sliding. Something that could break your tires a bit.
He's sliding through just about every hard braking corner, really. This actually kind of allows some of the cars around him to close up, but he does get really good corner exit, as you can see. He's drifting through some of these corners. Vector did open up the inside in the final turn. No Evil Dragon's gonna get the run. Gonna be able to make the move. He'll slot in just behind Vectro. Oh, got very close to the back of his bumper though.
I think that might have been a small bit of bumper. Very light. After.
Although Flip and Johnny are still trying to chase down Kev, although Johnny's slowly starting to make his way back up to Flip. Actually, Flip looks like he has a little bit of damage on his. Just me, but he's still managing to keep it together for now. He's got the Audi of Kev just a little bit in front of him.
Which got them having a look just a little bit closer.
So while this group is battling the group behind them of Vector, Kaz, and Evil, was kind of actually he did get back in front of Kaz. And now Kaz is being hampered by the missing of Evil, as well as Dalavan is coming back into this race too. Oh, very close. Evil had to get out of gas a little bit. Yeah, Vector's kind of struggling in the third sector corners. I wonder if that's just kind of due to the setup of his car. Definitely, sorry, go ahead.
You know, I mean, it's not really corners that, you know, you can use his drifting technique on, so that might be what's hampering a little bit. It might be what is hampering there a little bit. I obviously don't know for sure.
Joe deep down in 10th place. They're having a fight as well. Ooh, Evil on the curb to try to pass Kaz. And while that was happening, Joe did get around Marcus for 9th place. Evil Dragon with the dive bomb on Kaz. Kaz switching back here. Doesn't look like to have too much speed compared to the Nissan. Side by side, and Evil cuts him off. He's up into 5th place. Marcos, his Hondax, Hondax is actually trying to come back into this, so he's past Mike, his teammate, for 12th. I believe his teammate just let him have it there, as he is locked in this battle with Joe and Marcus, just ahead of him.
So close to a bunch to Kev. As Evil's actually going in front of Vectro.
So now Evil in the 4th place, because, I think Vectro either it's a setup thing or there actually was a little bit of contact that's sort of cramping the aero of that car just a bit. It'll be quite under pressure by Kaz. Vectro looking to the inside, cuts back though, kind of hampers Kaz's entry into the first turn. Dalavan thankfully gives him the space. Meanwhile, Lazy actually passes Mike there into the first turn, so he's now into the back of Hondax. Actually, they go side by side as Mike pushed off track a little bit there, but instead concedes to Lazy into 12th. Here comes Hondax back on the inside of Joe. So he's in the Bentley side by side for the last top 10 spot. Hondax now up to 10th, chasing after Marcos in the replacement Cadillac. Actually, not too far from that is Daza, so these guys continue to battle. He'll be brought into this again. So we do have 3 separate battles going on. Kev, Flip, and Johnny, as well as Eagle, Vectro, Kaz, and Dalaman, and then this one between Joe, Marcus, Hondax, and Crazy.
Pretty sure they need some more wars.
We need more computer screens. Because I know
we get
that
some ESPN angles on this.
I know the chat just wants a camera dedicated to watching Joe the entire race. I know they'd like that. Meanwhile, Johnny looking down the inside of Flip, not quite. Retro still looking on the back of Evil. On next, coming up to the back of Dalavan, he's gonna make the dive bomb move, not quite. And that's, I think the pace has been rather close for all these guys, because Ondex definitely a bit of a challenge to get back up the field, as Joe has spun around in the first sequence of turns. Managed to come back on the grid, Evil getting pushed out really far wide. Will actually lose 6th and 7th to Dalavan and Kaz, which comes side by side with Kaz very close there. I think Evil either ran wide or got pushed out by Vectro. Honda's still on the back of Dalavan, or excuse me, Marcos, really far wide. Saves it from going into the sand though. Meanwhile, still up front, Flip is hounding on the back of Kev in that Audi. Closing up a lot in the last corner. Of course, he will be on the slipstream, but I just think the Audi's too fast in the straight line for him. So once again, the Janetta's lack of straight line speed is really hampering his attempts of getting the lead. Actually puts him more in danger from Johnny, if anything else. Meanwhile, Vectro back ahead of Kaz sort of sticks into the 4th spot. Ondex still trying to get in the back of Dalavan, and actually Mike under pressure from Daza as Kev goes defensive now from Flip around the outside. Which gives him a little too much room, because here comes Johnny now. He slots himself into 2nd place. So just like that, Johnny is seeing the door open and he just breathes himself in. I think Kev is definitely one of the slowest of these 3. They're catching him up so quickly. The 3rd sector specifically, actually. Either that or it's a confidence thing. Meanwhile, while all this is happening, Razy has decided to once again go for the early pit stop. Seems like just a fuel-only stop, and he is out and away. I've seen Razy do this a few times to try and get himself out of traffic and up the grid. So we'll see how it works here today.
We have seen it work, of course.
While this is happening, Mike and Daz are still going at it for 11th and 12th. So I'll keep you updated on the multiple battles as they take place. Johnny now looking on the back of Kev. It's a move.
So Mike's actually gone past.
Yeah, so Honda's now into 9th place, and Johnny actually did get past Kev. Through the first sequence of turns, Johnny did get past the Audi of Kev. Now finds himself being attacked by Flip. Meanwhile, down the grid, that is Evil. Ooh, makes contact, but Vectro keeps it up, going straight. That was very close, and here comes Kaz looking to capitalize on that. He's gonna make a move around the outside. No, he decides to give it in, but here comes Evil again. Actually pushes Kaz through that turn, so Evil being really aggressive with the Audi and the Porsche. And Delavan's just kind of keeping his distance. Side by side.
The stewards to watch because that was very sketchy there with Evil and Kaz.
Has been pushed there. Evil now once again back into 6th place. Or excuse me, 5th place. Drink. It's too much. And again, this place is usually hot, so... While this is happening, I was going to say, yeah, Mike and Daz are still going at it for 11th and 12th, as their teammate, Hondax, is currently getting away from Marcos just a bit.
Because Evil's got a penalty. Just
Yeah,
1 second corner.
I figured he was kind of taking some liberties with the track limits there, so it's a penalty there. Ruber's, he started pretty far back, although he's kind of in a realm of his own, currently in 8th, so he can just kind of run his own race outside of traffic. Meanwhile, this battle for the top 4 and the battle for the top 3 heating up. Flip again makes another attempt to attack Kev to no avail. Still trying to keep his distance from Evil now. Still, it just kind of seems like they're not able to get away from one another. You'd think that the faster driver would be able to get away pretty easily.
You know, the faster driver doesn't take him with, because this is such a fast circuit where it's not like a slow circuit where if you're quick, you know, you can just get away. But, you know, you're also dragging people with you on a fast circuit. Slipstream and other such effects. But the people behind you have to watch out on tire temperatures and engine temperatures.
I think Toby had another incident because now he's falling closer to Razy, who, keep in mind, is still on that alternate strategy.
My ultimate strategy.
Alternate.
Oh, you said ultimate. That was going to be some kind of anime.
Only you would take it in that direction. Ooh, so Cass actually managed to pass Evil down the front straight. So Evil not getting a good run out of the last turn. So Cass once again put in the hot seat, although this has allowed Vector to get away. Evil once again with the dive bomb move to try to keep pace with Kaz. Sort of track liberty limits there. Yes, I know what I just said. Be quiet.
No, I was thinking more of my fun. How I can make it Evil Dragon being a bit evil Cleveland. Very funny.
Ignore him. with this Spectro now able to sort of get away, he's not actually that far behind the top 3. It's just under 10 seconds, and still plenty of time in this race to make up the time. So it goes very wide on the entrance. Delavan able to catch up a little bit, and you can just see there in the background that is Rubert Racing catching up to this trio. There's Evil, very slidey.
But something Pete said, Flip is doing a good job on the Ginetta. That is actually true. I don't think we've ever seen a Ginetta in the top 3.
There was one time it was crazy at, who managed to get second, but in terms of the top 3 for the whole race, well, we'll have to wait and see. As Evil decides to cut his losses and hit early. And actually, speaking of the top 3, they're once again still close to one another.
I think the victory for the top 3 now will go down to strategy. I don't think there's anything any of these guys can do otherwise. Except, just race to the end. But the strategy will say who wins.
Well, roughly 20 minutes into this race, so these guys will be starting to think of pit strategies. Evo seems to have already been done and away. Is he going to get out in front of Razy? That'll be a pretty interesting question.
Yeah, he's going to get out in front of Razy.
This throws a bit of a wrench into things. I wonder if he... No, he definitely took fuel. I think I'll have to check back on that to see how the distance plays. I'm not sure if he had like a drive-through penalty or anything like that either.
I don't think so, because otherwise you'd have to have jumped the start or to have had 10 seconds of time.
Either way, Johnny looking very vulnerable here as Kev gets a really good run off the last corner. Going to get really close to the back of that McLaren. Audi has been notoriously fast in a straight line. Pretty much remind me of their LMP1 counterparts as Johnny goes sliding for the first section of turns. And will this allow Flip to make the move? A lock up there. Flip not able to make the move. Instead, Johnny's going to try to counterattack against Kev.
What is it with the German manufacturers of being so good at all motorsports?
Well, I imagine being based in Europe has its advantages.
In what sense?
I don't know. Closer to the racetracks?
Does that actually give an advantage, though?
I mean, distance means everything in motorsports.
Yeah, you have more time to set up your stuff, but at the same time, I mean, that's not really time that you're actually, in the car racing.
I don't know, maybe someone else can answer that question. Meanwhile, Jukebox into the pits for his scheduled pit stop. Delavan still on the back of Kaz, so not able to make the move. Actually, Vectro still able to keep ahead. The gap actually decreasing between him and the top 3 as they're still fighting their way. Johnny looking kind of slower now on this second half of the run. I wonder if the tire wear is starting to get to his McLaren. So now Kev is starting to really put a gap on these two.
You can really see how much better these cars are in the corners, because in the corners you see John get up a lot closer to Kev, and then on the straight it's just Kev rocket chips away.
True, and that just has to deal with the dynamic of the cars, really. I mean, you can talk all about setup, but if the car is not suited toward the track, then there's only so much you can actually push it up the grid. While this is happening, there's roughly 35 minutes left, so Kev actually slid through that turn. So just off the edge of the camera, so that's definitely not going to help his tire wear. I was about to say, we'll definitely start to see pit stops from the lead guys. It'll be interesting to see when, because there could be quite a lot of traffic depending on when these guys decide to pit. One thing that's sort of been interesting about this race so far is that everyone has been relatively close. I mean, the top 8 is really only separated by less than 20 seconds, so pitting now will pretty much guarantee that you come out behind all of this.
Oh no! There we go. The cameras in this game aren't great, but Johnny seemed to have a really good run out of last corner.
back of Kev, had a small look. Kev with his lockup, actually.
Is that Kev or Johnny?
That was Kev. Meanwhile, Joe is caught up to the back of Mike, so that would be the battle for 10th place.
Let's give the people what they want now while we go into this pole where there's not much overtaking.
Yeah, Mike has been very off the pace this entire race. Actually, the last 2 races he has just not been on the ball, which is kind of surprising considering I kind of suspected him to be a championship favorite 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, Mike's done a pretty good job at getting podiums the last couple of races, but you have to keep that consistency. So.
Maybe they took the DAS steering wheel from his Mercedes and gave it to Hondax.
They decided the other car needed to get some points as well.
Speaking of Hondax, he's actually fighting Robert, who managed to pass him while that's happening. So Robert is starting to get up the grid in that McLaren. Well, actually, while all this is happening, Joe did manage to get past Mike. In the top 3... Oh, are all the top 3 pitting? Oh no, the top
they're
3...
all still racing.
Yeah, but they're side by side, actually. I think Johnny and Kev were side by side. Oh, Johnny, very close. It looked like they were going to pit there for a moment, actually.
Yeah, I think they were just gonna go as close to the pit wall as they could.
Oh, speaking of that, Flip has actually overtaken Kev and Johnny. Hondax overtaking Robert down into turn 1. Johnny must have had some sort of incident because Flip has overtaken both of them.
They've had this house built. Mike is dropping down a lot.
Yeah, Mike spun as well. He's all the way down into 13th. So he's behind Evil and Daza. Bear's still sticking on the back of Hondax while that's happening. And Flip was able to get in front of Kev and Johnny.
That's immediately pulled quite a gap.
How many laps this? Well, we're roughly at 16 and we're near the halfway mark, so I think it's good.
Let me break out my calculator.
Good lord.
Let's see, it's 105 seconds per lap.
45.
No, 105 because it's 60 plus 45. It's saying about 18 laps, but that's obviously if no one pits, as Kev goes to pit.
So Kev, the
it might
first,
be about 16, 17, 18 more laps.
Kev, first of the leaders to make his first and only stop. Mike also comes into the pit stops after his incident. Likely be fuel only. Actually, just in front of this group, Kaz and Dalavan. Got really close to one another. It'll be interesting to see when these two pit, since they're really close on track. Taking his fuel and out and away. Now Joe into the pits as well as Daza? Yes, Daza into the pits. So Evil has passed all of these guys. Actually, Evil is ahead of Kev.
But now that's the question. Was it a drive-through or was it actual pit stop?
No, I think Evil does have fuel.
Let's check. Yeah, that was a legitimate overtake.
So this puts Evil in a very interesting spot because Kev was running inside the top 3. And if this cycles the way in Evil's favor, he could be in the midst or even pretty much fighting the top 3.
This has definitely put a spanner in the works of things.
Well, there might be more pit stops going on. Or actually, no, Flippin' Giant is still deciding not to pit. Daza is out and away. Toby is in for his scheduled stop. Vectro is in for his stop. Kaz in for his. Is he going to bring everyone along with him? No, I think Hondax and Dalavan stay out. Daza released in a heap of traffic, actually. He's got Joe just in front of him, but he's also got, I believe that's Hondax in front of him, too. Oh, no, not Hondax, Dalavan. Hard to keep up now.
Wait, who are you talking about? I'm very confused now.
The Cadillac. Yeah, him.
The Cadillac.
Because this is a battle for a spot. Joe and Daza came out together. As Vectro is now out, Kaz taking a little bit longer than usual.
Where's Kev? Oh, Kev's gonna overtake Kaz. But wait, was Vector in pits as well? Yeah, right? Then Vector's in front of him as well.
Yeah, Vectro is in front of Evil.
And Kev.
Yes. But Kaz came out behind Evil and Kev.
That is interesting, to say the least. Let's see what these two do, because it does seem like pitting early was actually... Or pitting later, I guess, is... What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say pitting earlier seems to have been a bit more beneficial. They are going to keep going.
Well, I mean, to be fair, these guys have been fighting quite a bit. Evil has sort of been running his own race. Galavan, Hondax, Rubert, and Marco still yet to pit. They are your top 6 as it stands. Meanwhile, Razy, he's out in 11, so he's behind everyone who just pitted. So that strategy didn't work out for him, but it has worked out mostly in Evil's favor.
I mean, he's a lot closer. He's only 10 seconds off of Kaz, which at the beginning of the race when he went to pit, he wasn't.
Yeah,
So,
well, Razy was kind of behind after his first turn incident, so he's been sort of trying to catch up this whole race. Just another unfortunate scenario for Razy, but unlike that Janetta, his Janetta teammate of Flip is in this race lead now and has sort of been running away with it, although still has Johnny for company. We do have a battle on track between Toby and Jukebox close together, so battle for 15th. Jukebox slowly behind Toby. Of course, all these guys have to get out of the way for lap traffic. I'm not really sure where most of the mid-field traffic and the lap traffic are actually in the midfield. Flip and Johnny have actually had a surprising lack of lap traffic to go through. Usually isn't the case.
I'll be back.
So just about 25 minutes on the clock. The top 6 still remain without pitting, and Vectro and Evil are looking to be in the hot spots. Though it's still really early to call it. I think that's the Nissan of Toby getting out of the way there. Oh, actually, Toby has damage.
Oh!
Yeah, he's trying
That's a
to
little bit more
limp
than just damage.
yeah, he's trying to limp that Nissan back to the pits there, so Jukebox up into 15th. And Gaza and Mike also pretty far, so... Interesting. How do you suppose this pit strategy is going to cycle through?
I mean, based off of what we've seen, Flip Flop and Johnny will come out somewhere around Kev, more than likely. But it's a bit hard to say because they've been battling whilst Kev hasn't had to. So, you know, if they've lost time relative to Kev, then Kev will come out ahead of them. But if they've just been driving, then they will come out of Kev, maybe in front of Evil. But I don't know about Vectra. I think Vectra might actually have the ultimate strategy. We're gonna make that a thing now.
Ultimate strategy. I don't even know how that would be an ultimate strategy.
Well, because where was he before? He was 4th, 5th, right?
I mean, like, it would seem like a more grandiose strategy than just short pitting.
I mean, he didn't really short pit, did he? Because the one who short pitted was Evil, and Vectro sort of pitted just before Kev, so Kev responded to Vectro. Anyone who remembers, please tell us how the top 6 pitted.
They haven't pitted yet. Well, or at least this side.
You know what I mean.
Yes, I know what you mean.
The top 6 from before this side.
I recall how they did it, I'm just saying it. It's surprising that Vectro got out in front of Evil, but Kaz came out behind Kev, which, speaking of which, Kaz is actually making some ground up on Kev, his teammate.
I mean, Vector was pulling away from Kaz, and Kaz was still battling with Dalaban, so you know, it's, to me at least, a little bit logical that he would come up behind.
And still, though, this will be an interesting teammate scenario, because because obviously both of them still trying to get back up the grid. Johnny has the straight line speed, but just can't get the speed in the corners to pass Flip and Virginietta, as Dalavan has decided to hit now in the Cadillac.
Let's see where he comes out relative to Kaz, because that will give us a good indication of how long a pit stop takes.
Will be relative to Vector, wouldn't it?
Well, no, he was battling Kaz, so...
Dalavan still... Oh no, he's out. He's driving away now. He will come out behind Vector. But it's like just about, actually.
It'll be very close, actually. No, I think Evil might get him in the corner. Nah, he's good.
See, Vectro is pulled a masterclass on everyone here. This wheel runs pretty wide. No, they're still close, though.
Yeah, the race isn't done yet, but
so this strategy has not worked out for Kev and Kaz. I think they've really become the biggest losers in this whole debacle.
just a question of when do Johnny and Flip-Flip?
I think they're kind of running their own fast laps to sort of negate the laps that Vectro is doing, because Vectro is running lap times really close to the leaders at this point. Kaz too, but he's behind his teammate.
I think it'll be actually incredibly close whether Flip and Johnny come out in front of Vector, because okay, so Dalaban was, where's he now? Okay, he was 5 to 6 seconds away from Flip, wasn't he? He came out about 6 seconds back of Vectro, so I think if Flip and Johnny can pull in some real good laps now, then they could actually maybe come out right around Vectro.
Oh, while that's happening, Kev has decided to let Kaz through, so maybe a bit of team orders there. Because now Dalavan is actually trying to get away from Evil.
But Kaz is in the championship fight now. He's the one who needs the points the most now. So
I know, but I mean, Kev was looking in a decent position earlier to win this race, but he's all the way back in 10th now. He was leading this race like less than 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird to see him behind all this traffic unless his pit strategy has just not worked out in his favor. It doesn't look like he did anything wrong.
I mean, I did feel like he was in the pits for what seemed like a long time, so he might have had to got something repaired that maybe didn't need to get repaired. The rest of the guys are going very quick. So it is a battle. Finding
Evil and Dalavan.
Yes.
Yeah, Evil has been sort of catching up, although he does still have his 1 second penalty, so he does have to pass right. 1 second. Actually, Evil has 2 seconds worth of penalties now. So he's got to pass Dalavan and make a 2 second gap.
As Bowie says in the chat, come on Evil, show these people how Godzilla is driven.
Ooh, very big slide by Evil there, but keeps together. And it's not just Johnny and Flip. Hondax, Rubert, and Marcos still have to make pit stops as well. And Marcos is losing a bunch of time out there.
That lap alone lost 2 seconds in comparison to Johnny and Flip. That's Flip-Flop's made a mistake.
Oh yeah, he's fallen behind Johnny now.
And not just a little bit.
Must have had a half spin somewhere. So like I said, these tires, they heat up pretty quickly and they can catch you off guard in some of the low speed corners that you have to brake quite a bit for. You know, while Dragon gets on the back of Dalavan, Kaz is sort of making some time up on the two of them. And Kev, I think, falling behind as Johnny does indeed pit.
I think he might just have enough time to Vectro.
Yeah, Vectro's just now going into Sector 3 now. I think he'll have just the right margin. Maybe. Oh yeah, he's already out and away.
This will be close, I think, because that pit is a lot longer than it seems.
Rubert will pass him for now, but actually, it'll be close if he gets out in front of Marcos, though. No, I don't think...
Yeah, he's definitely out in front of Vectro.
Johnny might get mired in traffic, though.
Marcos keep ahead.
Just barely. Marcos and Johnny side by side. And actually, just behind them, that is the battle for 13th. As Mike and Gaza go at it.
Mike's coming ahead of Gaza.
Yeah, but his penalty means he'll have to get at least 1 second over him. So now the question is, when will Flip decide to come in? Just around 15 minutes left in this race, and everyone who hasn't pitted yet is sort of starting to run on fumes. Oh, Evil and Dalavan going at it. Side by side, Evil lets him go a little. Actually, no, he doesn't. Sticks it around the outside and makes the move stick.
That was a hell of a move.
While Flip is in the pits now. So Hondax will take the provisional race lead. Where is Johnny compared to this? Johnny's coming through the last turn now, I believe.
Yeah, that's worth a check, yeah.
Yes. And also, Flip is coming out now.
Johnny's going to get him, definitely.
This will be really close. He's bringing Marcos along with him too. Flip just now hits the pit exit line and Johnny is in the lead. Flip will actually come up behind Marcos. Flip actually just gets out in front of this lap car battle between Mike and Daza. Ooh, speaking of Mike, I think he spun. He has spun. So Daza up into 13th. Flip is into 4th now, ahead of Vectro, but just by around 5 seconds.
Reese is actually going to overtake Rubert.
Yeah, Rubert having a really long stop there. He might have decided to take tires too. He only took around 30 liters, but he decided to take tires too. So Razy back into the top 10. This leaves Hondax and Marcos, who haven't pitted yet. But judging from their fuel loads, they will likely pit this time by. And Johnny will be the de facto race leader by about 5 seconds, roughly. Which is just about the time that Flip lost with that spin.
And Hondax in the pits.
Oh, Hondax with a pit lane penalty. Oh, and Noyens spun around there. I don't know if he had an incident just in front of his teammate, but Kev back up into 8th. But I was just saying, Hondax to Marcos now. Hondax has a pit lane speeding penalty. So if I'm correct, he's got 10 seconds added to his time now.
Hondax does actually come out ahead of...
Fast pit stop then. But he's still got that huge penalty now. I don't think he's going to stick in 4th. Marcus comes out in 10th, so Razy's up to 9th.
Well, as of now, Hondax is pretty much in 8th place. It's quite unfortunate because this might have been the race where Hondax got his first podium, but it seems like it's not meant to be Hondax podiums.
Yeah, it just kind of seems to slip from his grasp. I mean, at Watkins Glen, he had some kind of mechanical issue. At Imola, he just couldn't keep it inside the top 5 for a long time. Also had some picked up penalties there. And once again, just another penalty. But the pit stop cycle has actually pretty much concluded at this point.
I think the race also, the debrief for the race, it seems to have a bit of an effect on the boys that they would be a little bit more strict viewing on the penalties. Getting too many penalties could get you a bit more license penalty points. That was what I saw on the Discord.
Yeah, there was a mention of that. As actually just behind them, that is Evil and Dalavan going side by side, and ooh, Kev making a drastic move there. He's finally got the opportunity he needs as Mike gets out of the way. So yeah, Kev, who was really far back, he was back in 10th at one point, now he's back up to 6th, trying to get back into 5th. Actually, he will pretty much be 4th, due to the penalties of Evil and Hondax. So the top 3 is Johnny, Flip, and Vectro now. But let's not count out Flip just yet. Only 4 seconds back from Johnny.
We have seen crazier things happen in the last 10 minutes.
Don't remind me. Is now Kev making a charge on Evil. He's really found some pace in that Audi. Looked like he was kind of stagnant for a while there during the pit stop stint, but now he's found the drive to make his overtakes again around the outside of Evil.
Pulling an Evil on Evil, nice.
Turn to the inside for the next corner. preferred line Kev has, and he is up into 5th. Now he's got to keep within that distance of Hondax if he wants to get 4th.
And it's 10 seconds, so Kev's got more than enough time.
And Kaz, he's not out of it just yet. He's that very last car in this group. Dalavan could still get into this race as well. He is de facto 6th or 5th at this point. Oh, that's evil. Ran wide at the first turn. Falls now to 7th. Oh, and that's Kev who spins at the next corner. Oh, it makes contact with Evil.
That was just a little carelessness there.
So Kev
He's got damage because that could have given him some suspension damage.
Evil
did get hit right on the left side there.
Yeah, Evil was the lucky one at that. I'm surprised his car didn't make any drastic turns, but Kev, he making some really good overtakes there, and then just got a little bit careless on the tires. Actually, now is under pressure from Razy. Now he's just behind him. We'll have to see if he can. Sorry, go ahead.
I think the stewards will look at that because that was just quite careless. The re-entry coming in right in front of Evil there, as I think Evil's had. There. No, Kev just went.
Yeah, he's fighting Kaz. But I was I was saying that now Dalavan and Kaz gotten ahead of Evil after his incident. I was gonna say now Kev kind of has to limp that car home. I assume he's got quite a bit of damage there.
I mean, from what I could see, it doesn't have suspension damage, so I think he might be the luckiest person alive.
Meanwhile, Flip's still trying to chase down Johnny. The gap is decreasing ever slightly. Johnny's got a little bit of lap traffic in front of him. You can see him in the distance there. Vectru within the 10-second gap too, so don't count him out. Meanwhile, Kaz and Evil still going at it for 6th. As well as Kev and Razy going at it for 8th and 9th. So still quite a number of battles yet undecided in the last 7 minutes. It's been quite an eventful race from start to finish. Especially one of the Bentleys getting out of the way there.
Bit of a race forming here with Razy and Kev.
Also, how many laps did you predict this was going to go to?
35, 36.
Whatever. Yeah. I'd say I don't know if we're gonna hit that marker. Ooh, Evil's had another incident as he's lost time to Kaz. So Kaz now getting away from him. Kev's still trying to make a comeback in this, so I wonder if Evil's car not acting to where he needs to be right now, because he was fast, but he's just made a couple of mistakes.
Check his steering wheel.
Oh, look, I don't think he has damage.
Might just have a little bit of aero damage, which will cost him small bits. Yeah, you can see his front bumper's bent there.
Hondax still has not been able to get away from Dalavan. It's actually losing time to Dalavan now. Where he still has that 10-second gap, so he is quite susceptible to losing to 7th place. And while that's happening, Ray's still trying to make a charge at Kev, although I don't know if he can catch him.
He is getting closer. He's getting a lot closer.
Yeah, I don't know how much that damage is affecting Kev. Ooh, Razy! Ooh, just kept it out of that second wall, though.
That is big damage.
Yeah, definitely just kind of pushing to catch Kev. Overstep the limits of that car. Thankfully, there's no one else around him, so he can kind of limp that car home.
Only got 4 minutes, so about 2 laps then.
Yeah, meanwhile, Flip has now gotten within 3 seconds to Johnny. So the gap's still going down ever slightly, but just not enough to make any sort of move. If anything, he's pushing as hard as he can. The Flip and the Jetta is still yet to win in this GT3 season. Of course, they do have one podium to their name, that was Razy at Rapuna.
Also, it's quite a comeback drive for Razy to come from 16th back to 9th. So.
I just think they might have been expecting a little bit more, though, because they definitely had the plan, but everyone else around them was just a little bit more in tune with the pit strategy. So, I mean, we definitely didn't expect Evil and Vectra to come out where they did.
I mean, Vectro's pit strategy was fantastic. I mean, whether it was luck that he didn't come out in traffic or whatever, I'm not sure, but it was pretty good timing. And we saw that with him actually at last race as well, where he was a fair bit behind, and then after the pits, he was suddenly, in the top 3, top 4.
Indeed. Flip still closing down ever so much, and ooh, that's a... Is that a... Yeah. But I was gonna say, at this stage of the race, any sort of slip-up or penalty will cost Johnny, and even Flip. So they have to be practically perfect in these last 2 laps. We are in the final 2 actually now.
So yeah, I said 30, 35, 36.
Alright, well, you had a calculator, okay? I was just doing guessing. I was thinking 36.
Well, then you're wrong. It's gonna be 35.
Meanwhile, Kev has actually caught up to Evil again. And with Evil's penalty, Kev is de facto 7th. Kev's still trying to catch the Dalavan, never bit by bit. And Razy's actually... Oh yeah, Razy with that damn just falling away from this battle a bit. Actually, we might have 2 more laps. It just depends on when Johnny hits the start-finish line. Actually, no. This will be the last lap.
So it's pretty much all or nothing for Kev now. And I think as long as Johnny doesn't do anything silly, then Flip will remain behind him.
Right. And as it stands, Hondax is going to lose 5th and 6th to Dalavan and Cass, but if Evil and Kev fight, then he won't lose 7th. We're on the final lap now for Johnny. He's at a pole, a 2nd place. He's looking to convert that into another win. Flip looking to get back into a bit of a starting up that championship run as Kev really close to Evil. Oh, manages to make it stick. He's got the run on Kev though, down the front straight. This will be the last time these guys who turn 1. Is Evil gonna make the move? Oh, sticks behind him.
This guy's actually caught up a little bit to Dalavan.
Yeah. I was gonna say, this might be the podium to sort of restart Flip's championship campaign, since Dalavan is in 5th, and Johnny is in 1st. This will definitely be quite the shakeup in the points. Kev's still going at it. Of course, it's been quite a disappointing end for Kev, who pretty much led a lot of the first part of this race, really to find himself in the midfield. I'll definitely have to look back and see what went wrong for that team. Him and Kaz, who are both up a lot further up the grid. But as it stands now, coming to the last turn now, Johnny, he's got the pit strategy right, he's got the pit call right, and he's kept his car in one piece. He will come across the line to get his second win of the season in that McLaren, and he is the winner of Algarve. Flip to get his first podium of the season, and back on the championship run. Vectro, another strong run, will actually keep his podium spot today. He's in third. Hondak's not quite where he would like to finish, especially due to his penalty. It'll actually be Dalavan who will get that fourth place that he needs to sort of secure his first place for now. Him and Kaz finish fifth and fourth. Hondax will finish sixth. Here comes Kev. Actually, Kev beating Evil to the line. He finishes seventh, and Evil will finish eighth. Razy, is he going to beat Evil's time? No, Razy will finish ninth, actually. Marcos, okay drive for the replacement. I'm sure he was just asked to drive this race, so he will finish 10th. Hubert to finish 11th place in the second McLaren. I think it went wrong for him in terms of pit strategy. Joe will finish 12th. Daza will finish 13th. Mike 14th. A disappointing day for him as well. And Jukebox 15th and Toby 16th. So round out 16 drivers. And actually 0 DNFs despite all of this.
Just checking out, this will be the best race, you know, I guess you could say the cleanest race we've ever had in terms of penalties and DNFs. I'm just checking out, this is actually, Vectro isn't just a replacement driver, he is the driver for, the second driver for Porsche.
Yeah. The fastest lap actually goes to Flip. So, as it stands, like I said, it is Johnny in the McLaren, Flip in the Ginetta, and Vectro on the Porsche. So, really good on all three of them. Delavan 4th, Kaz 5th, Hondak 6th, Kev 7th, Evil 8th, Razy 9th, and Marcos rounding out the top 10. And there are the rest of the positions as it stands. What a very close contestant race, actually. I mean,
how would you do a driver of the day for this? Because there were a lot of good drives, and in terms of certain aspects, certain drivers were amazing, but I don't think we really saw anyone really stand out because everyone was just really good.
well, we gotta pick
Johnny
somebody.
And Flip's fight at the front. I mean, Vector did a really good job, you know, in terms of pit strategy, you know, getting from 5th, 6th, wherever he was, you know, to the podium, and he was actually ahead of, you know, that group that had already pitted for quite some time, so
Right.
in terms of pit strategy, it's him, but
I think I'll give it to Johnny. I mean, just overall great performance from him. I mean, he did have to battle two other incredibly fast guys today, and he just so happened to come out the victor.
and again, a flawless race from him, you know, not a single mistake, so
Right. Well,
at least that we could see.
it certainly has been quite a wild ride here at Algarve. Definitely a lot of ups and downs for a lot of people. But if I'm correct, next week will be Austria, so pretty much all speed.
Yeah, I think Austria could be quite an interesting race with these cars because, you know, like in you know, real life F1, you expect sort of the cars with the high speeds, the high top speeds to do well, but it's typically the cars that can get good exits off of those tight corners that do really well there. So that'll be interesting to check out. But
Right. well, this has definitely been a great race to watch, and we hope that wherever in the world you also enjoyed the time that you spent watching these guys. Like I said, next week will be Austria, so that'll be quite an interesting circuit. We always have something strange or peculiar happen there. I believe last time we raced there were a lot of fuel issues. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. So, ready to drown us out then?
Pardon?
I mean, if you're ready to cut the stream then.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
Alright then. Well, once again, thank you for joining us here at Gavra Racing's GT3 series. I have been Cypher Knight 77.
I've been Dutch Musa.
And we'll see you next week for more racing action. Have a good day.